Showtime Sean Porter. Put it on last night. Lived up to the hype. But first, before I get started, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Eric Bradley, aka The Real Fight Doctor. And I'd like to bow our heads for a second in remembrance of the greatest of all time. This is the first show that I've done since the passing of the great Muhammad Ali. And for those of you who follow me, you understand and you know that I did a tribute. So hopefully for those who are new and have never seen my show, go to the channel Master Boxing and take a look at the tribute that I've done. It was a valiant effort to capture the essence of what this man's life was about. And for those who saw it, there was absolutely no boxing in it, because his life was much bigger than just boxing. Boxing being the vehicle to take him to that threshold that gave him the decorated time to become the man that he became and the iconic figure that he will be remembered as. But we will break this fight down. I took a few notes because I wanted to stay on point, okay? And the reason why I wanted to do this is because I'm a real coach. I'm just not a talking head. Expert for ESPN. And I continuously try to educate my boxing fans. And you guys who are watching, you can take pearls of wisdom into your fight style when it comes to understanding what's going on inside of that ring and outside of that ring as well. First of all, what you witnessed last night was the epitome of the phrase, styles make fights. And what do I mean by that? What do you mean by that, Fight Doctor? Style, no matter what style you are, there's a kryptonite for your style. So no matter how big, how strong, how ugly you look, there's somebody out there that cares nothing about it, and they are your kryptonite. Sean Porter brought everything that he had. Everything that he had. And you cannot look at him and say he came to not fight, because he came to fight. But the second thing is, you witness, is no matter how hard you train, and training hard isn't the key thing when it comes down to the fight game. That's where people get it wrong. Preparation for the illness that you're going to be suffering from is what you should be focused on getting your prescription drug written for. If you're short in stature, stay with me, fight fans. If you're shorter in stature and you don't have the reach of the other guy, the prescription for that camp shouldn't be hard work. It should be a steady dose of probing jab, meaning piercing, doubles, shotguns, and head movement. Peekaboo style. We call it head slips, but it's known and it was decorated. Just like the rolling shoulder was for Mayweather, the peekaboo style was for Tyson, because Tyson made it famous. And stepping back so you don't smother your punches and you allure the taller guy in. So when he throws punches, he has to shrink down to lean forward and then therefore be set up for the counter. I don't just talk boxing, I write books on the science of boxing, because there's nothing more beautiful than when you get an opportunity to have the science of boxing ingrained in your head. This is just not a 3-minute segment. This is an educational segment for those who really love the sport of boxing. And for you casual fans, you may want to go to another channel where they just speaking and talking and entertaining. But this right here, we educate. So, and I know the guys who follow me, they have an IQ because they like to learn. And I like to feed them. But Sean Porter was in the line for the wrong prescription. Pressure, pressure, pressure. When you got a guy that moves valiant like Keith Thurman, that's the essence of styles make fights. You can't remedy something with the wrong prescription, and that's the issue in Shawn Porter's camp. Amir Khan did the same thing. He focused on conditioning his body. And I didn't say he didn't have a game plan. See, what it is coaches are like universities. Each coach has a strength and they have a weakness. The thing about it is, what university are you attending? See, Shawn Porter's father, Kenny Porter, saw a demonstration video that I did, Keys to Victory. And in that video I alluded to Shawn Porter coming in with his bull-like tactics, squared up and being set up for the hook right hand, which he was more or less the hook last night. Keith didn't really put the right hand behind it, because if he did, it would have been a different turnout. Or the uppercut left hook. He didn't land too many of those, but my point is, if you come in squared up, you're gonna get caught with the uppercut and the left hook if the fighter has trained properly to get these shots off. So when I was speaking to this, my objective is to make clarity that if you don't fix the issue at hand, this is what's going to happen to your son. Now I did note that he did respond, and he said, "Mr. Bradley, I'll take you up on that bet." So Kenny Porter, you owe me. No, you don't owe me. It was just a joke. We just got to have fun with things, because I know with the passion they put into their camps, and he's a great coach, the passion that they put into their camps, man, you just don't know. And as a father, you dig down and you give your son everything, because you want nothing but the best for your son. But what I was going to do is I was going to put a video out on more than one thing that Shawn Porter could do, which he didn't do. And if you want to fight a taller fighter, you have to make him come to you, so as he reaches, he shortens his height and you catch him, and that's important. And I was going to do it, but you know, I didn't want to lay out a game plan, because I'm a coach and I wouldn't want someone out there acting like they know what to do better than I do, and I don't step on toes. But at the same time, these are the things that the fight needed to have inside of that prescription for that fight to beat Keith One-Time Thurman. Keith One-Time Thurman was very concentrated on getting the one-punch knockout, which the other things did not come smooth to him because of that. He could have made it a much easier fight. But he did what he did, and I was impressed with his conditioning. Now, give me 1 second, because there are several things that I wanted to allude to and make sure that my fans understand certain things that are very important when it comes down to the next phase that I was speaking to. Is Keith Thurman alluded to smart fighters win, dumb fighters lose. This goes back to the Coaches University. When Kenny Porter sets a game plan, when you're focusing on conditioning so much, where you go to Florida where Keith Thurman was training, and he's in a box, a sweat box, training, working out, got his athletic people, a guy doing his massages, getting his muscles loose, taking cramps out, leaving straight out of the gym, going to his run, everything's right there, old school. Because when you are in the sport of boxing and you have to enter that ring, all of those other things are marketing. When you have all of this high performance center, which is great for athletes, so you definitely got a good plug for your sports performance center. Yeah, they do a lot of good conditioning drills and training. But I think more or less than not, you have to isolate your fighter from some of those things because they give you a placebo effect. Just like bringing a nutritionist on board, you think the food is going to fight for you, and that is not the case. So when you see Kenny Porter and Sean Porter training, you know, they want to give you it's more like they give you this feeling that they're invincible because they have all of these bells and whistles. Those bells and whistles are not inside of those gloves, and those bells and whistles will not be your footwork, your punch combinations, and they don't take shots. It's just equipment. Sean Porter was out Sean Porter last night because he showed more moments of gassing out than Keith Thurman did. Actually, Keith Thurman, with the movement, the accurate punching, the sitting down on some of those punches and punching and moving, he showed conditioning quicker than I've ever seen him. The speed was lightning. So needless to say, he was prepped for battle, and I really I underestimated what he would bring in the later half of the fight. But the last point that I'm going to make when it comes down to what the fight should have had earlier, and it would have had a different turnout. First, that jab that Keith Thurman really has, if he would have established that jab, see, there was no one thing of the night that was the identity for that fight. He was consistently bringing new stuff, doing what he had to do in the moments, but because he was so focused on getting the knockout. So the other things didn't flow. He just knew that the knockout would come some point, so he didn't really have to establish it. But Keith is very smart. He's articulate, and he figured out later in the fight, let me settle down and stand my ground. So what he did was draw the line in the sand, imaginary line. And what that means is whenever you decide that you're not going to allow this guy to cover any more ground and push you back, you stand your ground. You draw an imaginary line in the sand. Hands here, boom. Sitting down in stance, letting him know, giving him chin to lure him to throw a punch, and hands here to catch and distort his vision from your face so he can't really see. But he's tempted to throw shots, and what you're telling him to do is the moment you cross that line, it's just like the warning sign that a cobra gives you when he spreads those wings. He's letting you know it's time for violence. Sean Porter saw this happening because around the 10th round, that's when Keith Thurman decided, whatever you want, you got to come and take it. We're about to get into some real violence, and from that point on, Sean Porter did not close the gap. He did not cover the ground. He did not win the 11th or the 12th round because that was a conscious decision that Keith Thurman made, and that's because he has a high boxing IQ, and he was getting in a phone booth with him if it was necessary. His power, it was evident throughout the night. He stunned Sean Porter several times, and Sean Porter had to tie up, and he tied up and clenched him like he was clenching his mother ever so tightly. Keith Thurman knew it, and he knew that he could hurt him, and he knew that he could knock him out. So I could only see a rematch going the same way, but this time Keith Thurman being much sharper when it comes to using the jab, baiting him in, but setting him up with that right hand, left hook. 1, 2, 3. Even casual fans know that combination. So we look at Sean Porter, and I hear a lot of people, you know, bashing his style. You can't bash his style. You know why? Because sometimes we have to look at the university that he learned from. And whatever you take up is what your degree is in. My university is Pugilist University. And it's where you get your master's in boxing. You can't learn Spanish in English class. They call me the fight doctor, and I thank you guys for watching. Right now you're watching Master Boxing. And this is where we break the fight world down round by round. I wanted to let you guys know that I had pulled back from doing videos because I'm actually in camp with my fighters. And when I'm in that zone, I'm in a different zone. But a few of you guys are real fans, and I saw the likes of your presence when I woke up this morning, and I decided. Now I must give shouts out to my boy IOTBA, because you know we have a special little thing, and I support them and they support me. But I want to make sure that you guys know that I'm going to always give you that education. So make sure you stay on my page, Master Boxing, or subscribe to the channel over on YouTube, Master Boxing, of course. And follow us on Twitter as well. You're going to always stay in sight. I'm busy, but I want to make sure that you guys get this game. And continue to watch. Until the next time, I see you on the other side.